Welcome in for another edition of the Chopcast. I am Zach Dillard, and Corey McCartney finds himself on vacation, but this will not be a monologue. We have 92.9 The Game's Grant McCauley in with us in the studio. You can also find his voice on Around the Big Leagues podcast. Grant, the last time we had you in was before the All-Star break, and this Braves team was 41-42. Needless to say, only about 20 wins later, here you are again. How's it going?
It's going pretty well for me. I wouldn't say that last couple of months has gone as well for the Braves, but I think we kind of expected it with the things that happened on the injury front and the things that happened on the trade front. It was a team that, it wasn't designed to be a World Series favorite or juggernaut. It might have been a 500 team had things played out a little bit differently with both injury and trades, but this is a club that I looked at that there are always obvious holes in it. It kind of overachieved for a little while. It felt good to see that club kind of come together and gel and be a little bit better as a team than it was if you just break down the individuals.
Right.
But yeah, I think we saw a pretty good spring and early summer turn into the dog days really fast, and we're still in the tailspin as we sit here right now.
Yeah, when you look at that and how things have fallen apart, I mean, seeing as there's only about 10 games left in the season for them, this is basically, for me and you, discussing probably almost like a season post-mortem for them. Did anything surprise you about how things fell off the track, or is this just how, regardless of what they said, how they were going to try to be a contender while rebuilding, that just wasn't realistic for any team, not just the Braves. It's not very realistic, and when the pieces started falling into place, this is how things were going. Does this surprise you? They're one of the bottom 5 teams?
Yeah, it surprises me in that regard. I think that the key phrase was always, we want to remain competitive. And they were competitive. I mean, saying that you're going to be a contender in the division, which came in with the heavy favorite Washington Nationals, and then kind of gave way to the upstart New York Mets, who have been pretty much the best team in this division, more or less, for the last 3 months anyway, because the Nationals have never hit their stride. To look at them being in a place where they could win this division, I don't think that was really realistic. To furthermore say, well, there's going to be a 7-week stretch in which the one great hitter that you have, Freddie Freeman, he's not going to be available for you. You're going to have an all-star caliber closer, but he's going to be lost at the all-star break, and then we're going to start trading away pieces. Once you start to, not just look at the book and read the dust jacket, but really start to go through the chapters, you can understand why it's kind of led to the conclusion that we're looking at. And it's really been a trial by fire for a lot of young players, and I think that's something that people, their opinions vary. Whether or not they wanted to see the Braves try to be competitive, or whether or not they want to say, hey, let's bring up some of these kids and see what they've got. You have to blame them, because if you don't, then you won't know what you have next year, and so on and so forth. I don't know that that's necessarily true. I do think it's good that some of these guys got some reps, but overall, I think it's just kind of, it's been a season where it's hard to find a lot of bright spots, but if you're looking from it from a player development side, I don't think it's been a complete failure.
No, I think me and you have both gone on the record from the very beginning that we like the general direction of building up the farm system, building up the pitching and everything they've done when it comes to acquiring prospects. We've both been on the same page there. I think that we've had some differences of opinions of, Shelby Miller, you were, definitely on that one before I was. We still probably have some differences of opinion of the Nick Markakis deal. How do you feel about Oliveira while we're at this?
I like Oliveira, and it's not that I like trading a whole bunch of talent for him, but when you take the whole deal and just lay it out and put all the cards that were in play on the table, having the Dodgers pay that $28 million is so quizzical to me. If they outbid themselves, and then they just ate the money in which they outbid the Braves, basically, or whatever other team could have signed him, and then they got Alex Wood, who I do think, ceiling-wise, is a number 3 starter, at least to me, because if you look at him this year, hit rate up, walk rate up, strikeout rate down, at 24 years old, talking to some different people around the club after the trade to L.A., I think the Braves
might have been a little bit more concerned that that was a delivery that was not going to hold up over an extended period of time. So you go ahead and make that deal while the value is high. That's how trades work. Typically, you just want to get something great back for it. Jose Peraza, I think, super utility guy is kind of what he strikes me as. He's got one great tool, and that's speed. He's defensively solid, but he doesn't hit for extra base hits. He doesn't walk. He doesn't have an extremely high on-base percentage. That's why I look at it being very deceiving when you say number one prospect or top prospect for an organization, because from team to team, that ceiling varies quite a bit. I think Peraza is a very good prospect, but I don't think he's anything that the Braves set themselves back in losing. So saying all of that, trading a couple of relievers, a decent middle-of-the-rotation starter or good middle-of-the-rotation starter, and a top prospect who may or may not be something big for a bat that could be cost-controlled at about $6 million per year. And as we've seen flashes of this year, has some pretty serious power, some pretty good plate discipline, might be a little bit of work in progress at third base, but I like Oliveira. And I'm not one of the people that's like, oh, well, I think it's a conspiracy that he's only 30. He must be 33 and stuff like that. It's the snarkiness that comes with these kinds of deals.
But that's not anything that, as journalists, we can run with or like we can't.
People like to throw shade at the deal that way.
Yeah, when people say that, it's like, what are we supposed to do? I mean, like, until you give us documentation as writers, reporters, radio hosts, or whatever it is, we can't say like, well, you're going to call in and question.
I don't question that at all. I mean, what I question is the production. If he goes out there and plays, I don't care if he's 39 or 29. It doesn't really matter to me. And I think that he's going to be a player that, based on what I've seen early on, I'm very excited about seeing him for 150, 160 games, however many he's able to play. I don't think he'll be losing playing time to anybody come next year, though.
No. He better be the full-time.
He will be, yeah.
He will be. And he will be. You're right.
Where he hits in the lineup, I'm also fascinated to see.
Yeah. I mean, he needs to be middle of the order. I mean, I'm talking lowest at sixth. I mean, you didn't pay for a seventh or eighth, in the lineup hitter, and they have enough lineup holes that should never be the case anyways. When it comes to the Oliveira deal, in retrospect, I see what they were doing. It's very, very obvious, very clear to me that they fell in love with this guy, even going back.
They went all in.
Yeah, they went all in. They fell in love with this guy back during the scouting, when they were thinking of trying to outbid the Dodgers. From the Dodgers' perspective, if any other team did this, I would really question it. But if there's any team that can afford to basically pay to acquire talent, it is the Dodgers. And I get where they were coming from. They have guys filling those roles. They basically paid a heavy price to get a guy in Peraza, speed guy, kind of see where they're going, short up a little bit of that bullpen for him. And then I'm a little bit higher on Alex Wood than I think number 3 starter is absolutely correct. I think that's what.
And if he's better, great. I really like the kid, but what I'm saying is, especially when I look at him realistically,
never going to be higher than 3
exactly. Well, not unless Zach Greinke leaves for free agency.
But yeah, I mean, I like Wood more than that. His first 2.5 seasons, one of the most consistent young left-handers in baseball. Maybe they saw question marks there, but overall, when you look at this rotation, and you take Alex Wood away, and I think one of the big things that really surprised this franchise is that they couldn't, at least from the beginning, they could not find the veteran, reclamation project for Roger McDowell. Trevor Cahill did not work. No, Stoltz didn't work.
No,
there was no Aaron Harang in the cards for them.
They just didn't want to pay him, which turned out to be an okay thing.
Turned out to be okay considering which way they're heading, but
which way he headed.
Yeah, he pitched pretty well in the beginning, better than Stoltz and Cahill. But I think when this rotation kind of fell apart, we saw so much of the young talent. What do you think of these guys? Matt Whistler, Mike Volnevich, Manny Banuelos. There's some more other guys coming up, like Tyrell Jenkins just won minor league pitcher of the year. What have you seen from this rotation, and is there optimism, or are there question marks for you moving into 16?
I'm going to be honest. I think there's both. I think I have more optimism than pessimism in terms of where they will be long term. And when I say that, I mean the next 2 to 3 years. I mean, Tyrell Jenkins is not going to come up big minor league pitcher of the year next year and be anchoring the rotation immediately. I just don't foresee that. I don't think that's the kind of expectations they're going to lump on a guy like that. The thing that tempers my optimism, if you will, or my expectations is injuries can happen. And we found that out over the past couple of months with what happened with Mike Fultonevich, obviously, and Manny Benuelos having the bone spur in his elbow. I think that's a good thing to find out that for Benuelos, it's not a structural problem in that reconstructed elbow, because I still think, from having seen him firsthand years ago and watching his progression and seeing him this year and just knowing the kind of pitcher that he is, I really feel like that's the kind of arm that you want to go out and get. Even though the injury questions have been kind of a running gag for people when the Braves acquire these guys that are coming off surgery or that have had injury concerns in the past, that, oh, well, the Braves are kind of buying on the cheap. And you know what? They kind of are. That's sort of the plan. You don't have to pay full price for Max Fried when he's coming off injury. If you have him coming, or excuse me, if he's not injured, you have to pay full price. If he's injured, you might find a guy that, well, you have to wait a little while, but it could be worth the wait. And I think that's the case with a guy like Fried. As far as Benuelos, I think he kind of falls in that same boat. And then as far as what happened with Mike Fultonevich this week, with the rib that had to be removed to help him with a blood clot condition in his right arm, that's an unfortunate thing that you just can't foresee. I have a friend that pitches for the Rays, Alex Cobb, who I've known for years, who had to go through the same thing in 2011. So he came back, has been a very good pitcher. He's on the shelf with Tommy John now, but obviously different pitchers have different tracks. But he came back and was a very effective pitcher after this happened. He had some numbness in his fingers that was going on. They took out the rib, and he was a very good starter from 2012, 13, and 14. So for Mike Fultonevich and for all these young guys, and I don't want to make the blanket comparison, but if you look at the first years of many, many great players, including John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, Steve Avery, all of these good pitchers the Braves have had over the years, they had some growing pains. It's just not an instant thing. Clayton Kershaw had an ERA over 4 in his rookie year. These things happen.
Oh, look at, you mentioned Kershaw, Jake Arrieta. It wasn't even
Jake Arrieta. Yeah, he's a great story this year based on how far he's come from pretty much being discarded by the
Some guys figure it out. And it's funny that you bring up Clayton Kershaw, because I spoke with AAA pitching coach Marty Reed, who had Kershaw in the Dodgers organization.
Right.
And his comparison was Kershaw and Fultonevich. And he said that Fultonevich has the most arm talent I have seen since Kershaw.
And I've heard that so many places this year, too.
And Kershaw, when he was coming up in his rookie year, did not know where the ball was going. Yes, he had a high strikeout rate, but look at Kershaw's walk rate in his rookie year. Very similar to Mike Fultonevich. I'm not saying everybody wants to make the leap. And like you just said,
look at the first 4 or 5 years of Sandy Koufax, who never pitched in the minors. The rest was a bonus baby, but I'm not saying he's going to be Koufax. I'm not even saying Kershaw's going to end up being Koufax. But long story short,
it's the same thing. You're not saying Fultonevich is going to make the leap and become the greatest pitcher of his generation. We're not saying Matt Whistler is going to make the leap and become Tom Glavine or John Smoltz. The point that you're making, and that I completely agree with, is that these things take time. And it's not like you can hide these guys.
I think that you get spoiled over time when you have so much great pitching that you start to, some of the minutia of it or the details kind of get lost in the periphery of the discussion, because you're like, oh, well, this is our guy who wins 18 games every year and has an ERA between 2.5 and 3.15, and this guy strikes out 250 batters, and this guy is the most ridiculous control pitcher of all time, and this guy is our great number 1 pick, lefty who comes in and pitches with ice water in his veins in the World Series.
Even last year, they lose Chris Medlin and Brandon Beachy during spring training. It's like, oh, we'll just go sign Irvin Santana.
Right.
And then, it's just like, it doesn't always work like that. Most of the time, you don't just have one hole to fill, and you're just like, I'm just going to go sign the biggest free agent on the market.
It seldom does, unless you're the Los Angeles Dodgers, the New York Yankees, teams of that nature. Boston Red Sox can do that kind of stuff. But the Braves are going to have to be much more creative with their payroll. But I'm feeling quite positive. I have it on good authority that payroll is going to go up in conjunction with that new stadium. And I don't know if that will be beginning with signing somebody in this offseason, in which their deal begins to escalate as it goes along a little bit. I'm pretty sure they're going to call on Zach Greinke. They're going to call on David Price the same way they called on John Lester this past year, just to take the temperature, figure out where things are, see if there's some kind of match. But we both know those guys are going to get buku amount of dollars, especially with what Matt Scherzer got from the Washington Nationals, which personally I think is going to be a giant mistake for them in a couple of 3 years, if not sooner, just based on the fact that that's just not a guy I would be giving that kind of money to. But David Price is. I think David Price, at least for me, if I had to vote, I would vote him American League Cy Young. No question about it. Arrieta's making it real tough. I've been a Greinke guy all year long. But Arrieta, getting to 20 wins, doing the things he's been doing, man, I'm really impressed with that kid. He's doing it in a manner in which you didn't expect that. And it's a career year for him. And his career year may be better than the even historic year that Zach Greinke's had.
Yeah, and I'd throw Kershaw right in.
I think Kershaw's in the top 3.
Kershaw's insane. It's funny about what are they going to do, and whether it be this offseason. Do you think it would be this offseason? Would you, as a general manager, what you see out of this roster right now, and how many question marks there are, would you wait to the offseason before 2017, and so you have a better feel for what these young guys are? What if you mentioned some of the big name pitchers that are going to be on the market? What if they have 3 or 4 young guys that start to figure things out in 2016? It's like all of a sudden maybe we need a bat. We don't need an arm as much.
Yeah, I think you always need arms, but you could always use a front of the rotation pitcher. There's no team that's ever going to turn one down if they have the opportunity to get them at the price they want, and it makes sense, and they're able to actually go out and do it, and it is a real possibility. Right? I don't know what the possibility is for the Braves. I've heard conflicting things. I know they've liked Greinke for a long time, since he was with Kansas City before he ever won an American League Cy Young. I mean, this goes back quite a way for some people in the organization. And I mean, if he's going to get $30 million a year, no, I don't think he's going to sign in Atlanta. If that's going to be the breakdown of his annual salary, if it's 6 and 180 or 7 and 210, I don't know if I see that happening. Same thing with David Price. But long story short, with the Braves pitching staff and what they're holding on to right now, I've been really encouraged by Julio Teheran the past month or so. He's figured out how to pitch on the road. He's been a little bit more aggressive in the manner in which he goes out there and attacks a lineup and the emotion that I see out of him. And I know that's something that's not really intangible. It's not something that shows up on the paper, but I just see a difference in the way that he's pitching. Shelby Miller, I feel terrible that he's had to go through what he's gone through with this winless streak. It's not his fault. He hasn't been as good of late as he was in the start of the year, but more times than not, better than 3/4 of the time when Shelby Miller's out there, he's giving you a chance to win.
September's been rough for him, but yes, I mean,
he was going to have some bad ones, but an ERA of 3 and leading the National League or Major Leagues in losses, and leading the National League in losses and shutouts in the same year, I can't even find somebody that's done that before. So
dude, 5-1, Grant. 5-1,
and now he's 0-15 since then.
It's insane. If you had to put together 2016 rotation, top of the head, opening day, let's assume that they don't make a big. Let's assume they don't make a big splash of what you've seen and of what you have a feeling for coming up the pipe with Tyrell. You mentioned Max Fried. What is that opening day, what would that rotation look like for you next year?
Well, I don't see Max Fried in the rotation.
Right.
Still to start the year. I think you can see him by the end of the year, depending on how things play out. But if I had to look at it based on talent and assuming guys are healthy right now, then I would look at Shelby Miller and Julio Teheran, obviously at the front, barring trade. Matt Whistler would be in there for me. Mike Fultonevich and Manny Benuelos would all be in there for me based on talent, ability, hopefully the health, and giving yourself a chance to win with the things that you've gone out and acquired. I think Tyrell Jenkins could very well bump somebody out of that. But for Tyrell Jenkins, the thing has been a full, healthy season. He was pretty healthy this year. Still had a little bit of arm fatigue late in the year, so they shut him down for a couple of weeks. He did come back and make one more start. I think if he hadn't dealt with that, maybe you would have seen him for a brief moment up here in September. But, it's just there's no real way to know. So I think they've got 6 very viable starting pitcher candidates, 2 that I think are locked. Really, I would make Whistler a lock somewhere. Maybe not number 3 in your rotation, but I think he's pitched well enough and has the mental side of it down to the point where he's going to make those adjustments. And in year 2, I think he's going to be better than he's been this year. And we've seen flashes of a pretty great pitcher.
Has Atlanta seen the last of Mike Minor?
I think so, yeah. I mean, just based on the way things went with Brandon Beachy and the way things went with Chris Medlin, both of those are guys that you have a lot of respect for, especially Medlin. I mean, he worked so hard and had so much success and had to go through so much to get there.
He hasn't done bad this year.
No, he's done very well for the Royals. I think he could be in their postseason rotation. I would certainly look at it very hard if I'm Ned Yost in that group. But, yeah, I think with Minor dealing with that shoulder surgery, even though it's not a major reconstruction, I can't imagine them wanting to go through the arbitration process with him again and give him more than the 5.7, I believe, that he got this year.
5.5.
I think he'll be designated for assignment, and or cut loose, or non-tender. Excuse me. Cut loose would be it. Yes.
I agree with you there too. We've been
too much risk, too much money to put into a risk like that when you have this many great young arms that you can find out what you really have. And that's a shame for Mike Minor, but it just kind of is the situation based on the last couple of years.
Have any of the other young guys shown you anything? Is there any future on this team for a Williams Perez or a Ryan Weber? Or
I don't know. I think Weber's more of that kind of, I don't want to call him necessarily a journeyman type pitcher, but he might end up being like a Buddy Carlisle type that could come in and give you something for a little while. But if you do it for too long, it's going to get exposed. But, I hate to come in and knock a kid and just say, well, he's not going to make it at all. Just from a personal level, but from a professional talent evaluation standpoint, I haven't seen anything out of him that puts him ahead of the guys I've already mentioned. And for Williams Perez, it's really been, the highs and lows, and not really a whole lot of in between, consistency. And that is something that I think you get with some of the other arms that are out there, and not so much with him. But who knows? With the way things shake out, the way injuries have been, and the experience he's gotten this year, maybe he'll benefit from that in 2016.
We talked a little bit about what the offseason brings. There's so many holes on this roster moving into 16. You can look at left field. There's still question marks about what they are getting at second base right now.
Sure.
What are you going to do with catcher? The bullpen needs shoring up. Obviously, the rotation is still in flux. Where would you spend your money this offseason?
Catcher, number one, is what I would go look at very, very closely. I would monitor the center field situation. I like Cameron Maybin, and I think he's had a very good year. Defensively, I have some questions about him, and it's not just based on the metrics that I'm seeing. It's just I physically watch him run routes and not quite get there, not make catches, not hold on to things, lose balls in the lights, things of that nature. It's a little bit more than I would like to see out of him. I don't know if that means
paying a lot for left next year with Bourne and Swisher or whatever that's going to be.
And I don't know that both of those guys will be on the roster when you break camp at spring training next year. I've liked what I've seen from Nick Swisher. I like what I've heard from Nick Swisher. I know that for some that act can kind of get a little bit tired, the always optimistic kind of thing, but there's a place for guys like that in the clubhouse. And if they're going to produce, which Swisher has at a fairly decent rate, more so than Bourne, though he's been kind of a bad luck hitter at times, I think Michael Bourne, you're seeing the reasons why the Braves did not give him a 4 or 5 year deal a few years ago, because the speed or the base running ability to affect the game is just simply not there anymore. He is a good outfielder. I think he's a fourth outfielder. Well, Cleveland certainly found it out, and they paid for it. And they're going to be paying for Chris Johnson based on the fact that they didn't want to deal with any more Michael Bourne and Nick Swisher. So that's a trade I liked in terms of giving both guys, or all those guys, a change of starts. But I don't know that the Braves are going to go into 2016 and say, well, based on the finances of Swisher and Bourne, we're not going to do something to upgrade ourselves. And I still see Malik Smith as being major league ready next year. I don't know that he's a center fielder based on his very kind of overzealous center field routes, but I think he could be a very quality left fielder. And if you're holding on to Cameron Maybin based on cost control and being a pretty good hitter, doing some other things, and being at least a fair defender, you could do worse than Maybin in center, flanked by Markakis in right, and Malik Smith in left, and have Malik Smith leading off for you. So that might be one scenario that I look at least based on the pieces we've got right now.
Catcher, Bethancourt?
I don't think so.
Not there for you.
I mean, I'm not saying no completely, but it's a real shame that he hurt his wrist or thumb over the past week, and is probably going to miss a few games, and who knows if we'll see him again over the final 10 games. I know the Braves have been linked with Jonathan Lucroy. I think that's something that they'd certainly go out there and look at it if the Brewers want to trade him. Matt Wieters will be out there, but he is a Scott Boras guy. I'm not saying he won't sign here, but who knows if in fact he will. There's some health concerns that come with him. But I do like him overall. It gives you power. It gives you consistency in terms of the guy that's in charge of that staff. And that's the one thing I would say with Bethancourt that I would really want to see is more so, you're here. Congratulations. You've got a locker in the major leagues. Now go out there and really seize that opportunity and be a really vocal and active part of leading this pitching staff and taking part of that. I mean, you can't lead necessarily as a rookie, but you can be right there ready to take every opportunity that you're given. And I can't necessarily say that this has played out in a season in which it's looked like he has done all the fundamental things he needs to do. has done all of the mental and side work that he needs to do and been able to give the Braves the best chance to win every night. And I don't think anybody can look at themselves in the mirror and say that he has. He has struggled quite a bit with things that I don't think people foresaw.
If he was hitting, I think that some of that stuff gets pushed under the rug. If you're having pass ball issues, but you're getting on base, 350, 375,
Sure. I mean, well,
18 or 15 home runs, all of a sudden all that stuff's nothing. But when you're not hitting, you need to do everything else the catcher needs to do right. You need to call the game right. You need to frame your pitches right, which apparently he's not.
No, he's not a great pitch framer. And neither is A.J. Pierzynski for that matter. But what is A.J. Pierzynski doing? He's hitting. He's helping the staff. He's doing some things that may not be the premier catcher in baseball. He's not hurting you when he's out there on the average night. Right. I mean, everybody has their bad day. But for the most part, A.J. Pierzynski has helped the club as much as he can. It's been a very good signing.
It's been a very good signing for them. Yeah, I mean, the thing
he's overachieved, really.
He absolutely is overachieved. I had very low expectations for A.J. But he's exceeded them so much that if they brought him back, I don't think anyone would criticize them.
No.
I mean,
I wouldn't let that obviously deter you from going out and getting, like, if you have a chance to get Luke Roy and A.J. Pierzynski's your backup, well, then so be it. If you have a chance to go and get Matt Wieters and A.J. Pierzynski's your backup, that's fine. I'm sure that, I don't know what Christian Bethancourt's trade value is. I don't know what the likelihood is that he would be dealt, per se.
Still young.
Or if he would just remain and go back to AAA and try to keep doing it. Sometimes it takes some time to figure things out at the big league level. As a hitter, it took Yadier Molina about 5 years to get himself right. But what he did that was so instrumental was he handled the pitching staff. Defensively, he was, unparalleled, at least in the National League. He had the great arm, but he also did everything else that you need to do on a daily basis to be a starting catcher in the big leagues. And that's been the knock on Bethancourt. He can't seem to put the whole thing together.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big question for him moving into this offseason and what they really do. Last one that we talked about before we came on, and then we'll get you out of here. The Braves have almost guaranteed themselves a top 5 pick. That's in stone. If it's not mathematically guaranteed, go ahead and write it in magic marker because let's just go with that. It's going to be a top 5 pick. They've done really well against the Philadelphia Phillies, who at the moment are in position to win, quote unquote, win the number 1 pick. They won 5 of 6 against the Phillies down the stretch. Is that a big deal to you? Is not getting the number 1 pick a big deal? Obviously, we would never, and no one should ever assume that managers or players give a damn about getting that top pick or losing games or tanking. But is it a big deal that the Braves are not going to be in position for that?
I mean, for the number 1 overall pick, you'd love to have it if you could get it. I don't think that it would be the worst thing that happens in the process that they're in of rebuilding this team from the ground up to have that kind of talent brought in and to improve the position in which you're going to be drafting in the draft. There's no question. The players you're going to be selecting and where in the round you're going to be, they'd be thrilled, I think, to bring in that kind of talent. But you simply don't put your team out there based on the fact that you're trying to get that. That's not a real thing. And people bring that up and get upset that they sweep the Phillies in the series. And look, they scored 6 runs in the series. So clearly the run prevention was better than it had been all year because the offense was doing the same thing it was doing. But what do you want to see? Do you want to see guys go out there like a Williams Perez or Matt Whistler or whoever else and have a good 6 or 7 inning start and win a baseball game and better position themselves for what they'll be in 2016? Or do you want to see them go out there, give up 6 in the first, be gone in the second, and then you got to watch that bullpen for 7 2/3 innings? That's just not something that the Braves are looking to do. It's a team that takes a lot of pride on the name that's across the chest as well as the name that's on the back of that jersey. And there's no manager or coach or player that's looking actively to find ways to lose, even if the things they try or do don't work. So, number 1 pick, I think would be great. Number 2 pick, that ain't bad either. I mean, I've pulled up a list of number 1 picks that maybe some teams would like to have to do over again. I know that the Mike Trout year, there's about, 14, 15 different teams that would like to have that one to do over again. Best player in baseball sneaks into the middle to late of the first round as far as the picks are concerned. It's just one of those things. It's a crapshoot, more so, as you've pointed out, than any other draft, because when you draft a player in the NFL, they immediately come to your team in the National Football League, and you start using them.
Probably start them.
Yeah. Same things in the NBA. You get an impact player. That's what you're hoping for. In baseball, you may not see the guy for 18 months. You may not see him for 4 years. It just depends on what his track to the majors is. But then again, with there's so many other places you can go out and get great talent, I don't really worry about having the number 1 pick as opposed to number 2 or number 3. It's all about what you do with it. And there have been great picks in the first round at every spot, and there have been great picks after the first round. So I don't really worry about that too much.
The bottom line for me is what you just said. It's all about what you do with it. I'm slightly conflicted because of looking at the numbers, the rate of busts and the rate of guys, that do become at least above average players is higher with top picks. But as you said, for an organization that has completely revamped its scouting department, that has put all of its eggs into acquiring, young talent, minor league talent, and quickly, for a team that is priding itself publicly on all of the scouts they put in place, Roy Clark and all of those guys, it shouldn't matter. If you may not get the very best guy in the draft, if the team above you, if they draft right. But chances are, when you look throughout baseball history, the number 1 pick is rarely the best player in the draft. It's about who drafts the right player. Yes, the last time the Braves had the number 1 pick, they got Chipper Jones, and he was the best player in that draft, and everything worked out well. But when you look across, I looked over 30 years of baseball history. The number 1 player, or the top player taken, maybe a quarter of the time it turns out to be the best player.
I mean, you brought up Brian Taylor and Matt Bush before we got started, but there's guys, Steve Chilcott, Al Chambers, Danny Goodwin was a catcher in the 70s. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not, but he was drafted number 1 overall in 1971 out of high school by the White Sox, and then he was drafted number 1 overall by the Angels 4 years later out of college. You probably never really heard of Danny Goodwin, other than the fact he's the only guy to be taken number 1 overall twice in a major league draft. But we're all familiar with Brian Bullington with the Pirates in 2002. That was a fairly big swing and a miss. What the Rangers did with David Clyde out of high school in the 70s. Obviously things have changed quite a bit since some of these names came across. But, for Paul Wilson and Matt Anderson and some of these other guys that were can't miss for the Mets and Tigers respectively and didn't really become anything, that's a real possibility still for any team. It's just what you do with these picks is so important, because the number 2 pick, sometimes, if your name's Buster Posey, might be a little bit more relevant to your team than Tim Beckham is for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah.
Some people do it based on signability. That's what got Matt Bush into the number 1 overall spot.
Sometimes it is difficult. If there is a can't miss, if Bryce Harper's out there and everyone knows it, then having the number 1 pick is strong, and you are not, the college and high school expert. We don't have time to do all of that, but from all I know, there is not a guy out there that's like, this is the guy, no one else is close. There's no Bryce Harper.
There's no Steven Strasburg.
Alex Rodriguez.
No, there's not. So there's no King Griffey Jr. sitting out there waiting.
Right, those guys, it makes sense. You take them with the top pick, they become the best player. It seems like a no-brainer. But I think I just said 25%. It's probably a lot lower than that.
Yeah.
When the number 1 player is the top pick.
If you're getting the number 2 pick after Matt Bush, you get Justin Verlander. It's just the way things shake out.
Shucks.
I think the Padres would like to do that one over again.
Maybe they would. It is interesting how they have been jostling when there's so many. They've had so many division games against the Phillies here down the stretch, but certainly closing out, if it's close. If the Phillies make a little run and they are neck and neck, the Braves do close out with Washington and St. Louis, so there's still the possibility they could get the top pick. It would be a silver lining, I think, the silverest of linings to get the number 1 pick, but we'll see where it goes from there. Did we miss anything?
The Braves' record at this point is...
It is... Let me look at this.
They won game number
61 and 91. 61 and 91. And the Phillies are 3.5 back or ahead of them, depending on which way we are talking.
10 games left.
7 and 94.
And you need 2 wins to avoid 100 losses. I think the club would like to avoid the 100 losses, more so than they're worried about the number 1 pick. And 2 wins in 10 games, that's not impossible. So we'll see what this club's able to do. That would involve some bright spots going on. And I said this a couple of months ago, and I'm going to stick to it. Before this year is over, in one of these last couple of starts, Shelby Miller is going to win a baseball game.
2 more starts.
That is my sincerest hope and prediction and everything in between.
2 more starts.
He's going to win a Major League Baseball game.
I would much rather, other than a win, I think, which would be extremely positive for him. I was speaking with Shelby about Julio's run, about how he's closing stronger than he started, and he was saying that, because the same thing happened with Shelby Miller last year with the St. Louis Cardinals. Had a pretty horrific start, but closed really strong. He was telling me that he would rather close a season strong than finish strong, because you go into the offseason remembering what was working for you. These guys only take about a month off of pitching. They're picking right back up, and you kind of build off a little bit of momentum. And I think that's kind of the offseason Julio has set himself up for. And seeing Shelby pitch well, which he has not done in September, seeing him pitch well over the final 2 starts would hopefully entail a win, but also push him into the offseason on a high note.
I liked his last start. I think he really gutted out after a lot of pitches the first 2 innings. Another quality start for him, and the Braves got shut out.
He's their number 1 next year.
I believe so. I mean, I would say more so, but Julio Teheran is still, if Shelby's 1A, then Teheran's 1B, at least for me. And I still think Teheran has number 2 to number 1 starter potential if he is that aggressive bulldog out there on the mound that uses his stuff, executes his pitches, and just goes out there and just does not want to relinquish that baseball. And I started to see that over the past month or so. And as far as another guy in the equation, really like what I've seen from Matt Whistler. Hope he's able to finish the season strong with another start or 2.
Horrific stretch for him. But as far as just being a 22-year-old rookie and you're just getting bombed,
and he didn't give up many home runs in the minors either. So this is new territory for him.
And then he's come back in his last, you can correct me, but 3 starts.
At least the last 2.
At least the
back
last
to back.
2.
And on the road, I really like seeing that against the Mets, the first place club with the best offense in the National League since the trade deadline, no question. He was going out there and doing his thing, and I really like the poise, the mental makeup, and the stuff this kid has. He's hit 96 in the win over the Mets last night, so I like that. I also like that slider from Dynamite.
22 years old, and he could join Chipper and Freddie Freeman as the new New York killer. 2.25 ERA against New York teams this season.
Nobody's upset about that.
Nobody's upset about that. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thank you again to Grant McCauley. Tell everybody where they can find all of your stuff other than your voice on 929.
No, thank you for having me. First and foremost, if you want to follow my work, it is on iTunes. You search for Around the Big League. It's my podcast. I've had a show that runs for 2 hours on Sunday. Just wrap that up with football season coming in. So going to hit the ground running as the Braves wrap up the 2015 campaign. We're going to cover everything as far as the winter is concerned. Zach, you and Corey are always welcome to join me on Around the Big Leagues. It's a lot of fun. We hit the Braves, obviously, but I like to do everything from coast to coast. On the hot stove, if you're a baseball fan, you like to watch games, but man, the hot stove.
You like to gossip.
Love the river.
Winter meetings in Nashville this year.
Yep, I'll be going to those. So everybody reports there. I'll definitely be there. I hope you guys will as well.
We will be in Nashville. The plan is to be in Nashville.
Well, we will be in the hotel lobby, and the first round is on me as soon as day 1 wraps up.
That sounds good. And who knows, at St. Petersburg, too, apparently sometime in the future with spring training. A lot of movement going on with this team.
A lot of big stories.
A lot of big stories. All right, that'll do it for us. We're going to get out of here. Keep tuning in. Check out Around the Big Leagues on iTunes as well as the Chopcast. And keep tuning in FoxSportsSouth.com, all of your Braves coverage. And we will see you in next time.
Here's the first offering. And he takes ball 1.
Now with 2 on and nobody out, it's looking like this scoreless string could be in some jeopardy.
One 0 on the way. And a strike to even the count. 1-1. No runs on 6 hits and no errors so far for Atlanta. Ready now on 1-1. Swing and a miss as he pulls the string on him. 1-2. How about that call?
This is the Fox Sports South Chopcast. Welcome to the show!
Here comes the 1-2.
We are back with another Chopcast. Shopcast. This is Corey McCartney, joined by play-by-play announcer Chip Carey. Chip, an odd start in an odd season for Shelby Miller, who lasted just 3 2/3 innings in Wednesday's 9-1 loss to the Blue Jays. That was his shortest outing this season, and that being said, we've now reached a new career high for innings pitched with multiple starts remaining. He said afterwards he's physically getting tired. Are you seeing that from Shelby Miller?
I think so. I mean, look, I think it's mentally tired more so than physically tired. I wouldn't presume to speak for Shelby Miller. What's going on in his body, what we do. But look at Steve being a professional guy that wants to win. You can imagine what it's like to go 22 games without a win. He's pitched so well in so many of those games that the fickle finger of fate just does not work out in his favor in any way, shape, or form. That's really unfortunate because as a person who does believe in the value of a lead first-strike pitcher, I also can look inside the numbers and see he's far better than his record indicate. However, having said that, the fatigue mentally, the stress of this long streak and pitching for a Braves team that just isn't playing very good baseball consistently may be affecting him. Last 6 starts, he's got a 5.5 ERA. That's not at all like Shelby Miller. First time his ERA is over 3 for the year. So, these are important starts for him. He's got 2 more, 3 more maybe. The Braves want to get him over 200 innings, which would be a great benchmark and a testament to how well he's pitched, not how poorly. So as a pro, he's going to grind him out. As a pro, hopefully we'll see him get back into the win column, and hopefully Shelby Miller will have a fantastic finish to a great year despite his record.
And we've spent so much time this year discussing the bullpen and kind of the way it's gone a little downhill, since Jason Gurley's injury and obviously the trade of Jim Johnson. But until Ronnie Kelly's late homer to Russell Martin last night, the Civic did performed really well the last 2 games, 3 1/3 scoreless the night before. What have you liked out of the bullpen these past few weeks?
Well, there's some potential there. I think you ask these guys collectively, there's some of them that are probably saying it, and Rick Harrell's earlier would be, as far as Major League Relief pitchers, there are some power arms down there. Who's experienced, they're really raw, they're really green, and trying to learn on the job is a really, really difficult thing to do. I mean, it's hard being in the Major Leagues in the first place. It's even harder to stay here, but these guys have not shied away from any of the responsibilities, any of the times that Trey Gonzalez has called upon them. They're learning on the job, they're learning on the go, and in this time of year when you're pitching against teams that are really climbing up for a postseason run or a playoff case, there is no margin for error. So what do I like? I like his tiny old arm. I think he's learned how to control his fastball and harness that. He's been a different guy than he's been in seasons past. Matt Marksberry looks like he can get lefties out, which is something the Braves have looked for a long time. You're going to get Jason Gurley back in some form or fashion next year. He comes back from his Achilles problems. That'll be a veteran guy in the bullpen, which I think has been sorely needed for the last 6 to 7 weeks. But again, you're just seeing guys that are getting experience now, and hopefully the lessons and the lumps that they're taking and learning from this year are things they can take to spring training next year. The Braves are going to have to have a dramatically revamped and dramatically improved bullpen if they go to a turnaround that's been really frustrating to see in the second half this year.
Yeah, Freddie Gonzalez spoke to some of us last week about Matt Marksberry in particular, a guy that opened the year in A-balls, making a case to be part of things next year. Those last 5 games, he hasn't allowed a single run with just a 167 batting average against. Pretty impressive for a guy that, started the year in A-ball.
Yeah, very much so. And, Matt's been kind of a whipping boy. He's taken a lot of losses. He's given up some big hits and stuff. But, again, that's part of the process the Braves are going through. Let's think back, too, guys. Freddie Gonzalez has to learn these guys, too. Some of these pitchers that he's been given, he hasn't seen, or maybe he's on the backfield in spring training, never imagining his wildest dreams that they'd be pitching for him in August and September. So this is an evaluative time for not only the pitchers to learn how to get big league hitters out, but really for the manager and pitching coach to figure out what these guys can do and what they really have some trouble doing at this stage in their careers, and how they can coach them up and teach them as they matriculate forward in the major leagues. So everybody's learning on the job, learning on the fly. As we know, the schedule doesn't wait for anybody to stop and do some remedial coursework. The schedule keeps rolling on, the games keep piling up, and the appearances have to pile up because those guys have been needed out of the bullpen of late.
And we've talked about this multiple times. If there's a microscope on anyone these final weeks, it's going to be Hector Olivera. The Braves are obviously being patient with him a little bit. It was Adonis Garcia that got the start in the first 2 games of this Blue Jays series. They're now going to play Olivera, it would seem, based on matchups. Really a tough spot Gonzalez is in, considering how well Garcia has played, but all the hype that's been surrounding Olivera before his arrival.
Well, I think that's not fair to Hector. I think the Braves were very clear about saying this guy's not going to be the savior. I mean, he is not going to be a guy that's going to come in and hit 40 home runs and drive in 100. He might. But he hasn't played baseball the last couple of years. Hasn't played much. He hasn't had much competition this year. He's not in his best baseball shape. Again, he just doesn't play many games. Coming back from the elbow problem and not playing much in his latter days in Cuba. Scout did tell me that at the time teams started taking notice of him in the major leagues, they thought he was the best player in Cuba. They thought he was better than Cespedes. And I'm not here to say that he's going to be as good as Jordan Cespedes. I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form. But looking ahead to the Braves, they're going to send him to Winter play out there, get some games under his belt, get some bats, get in better shape, and come to spring training with a chance to really have his feet on the ground and acclimated to our society, our culture, the way we do things, the Braves organization, teammates, and the pitchers he's never seen before in his life. I mean, it's a remarkably difficult cultural transition. Let's forget about the baseball part of it. Just culturally, it's got to be a shock to his system, and hopefully we'll see more consistency, better baseball play, more comfort, and obviously more results from Oliveira starting in 2016.
A guy who's really been taking advantage of September, Daniel Castro hitting 300. In that same span, Jason Peterson at 200. Castro's gotten 3 straight starts. Are we, in your mind, looking at a platoon situation, or are the Braves just trying to see what they have in Castro?
I think they're seeing what they have. I think the Braves are thrilled with what Jace Peterson's given them. Talked with Jace about that a couple of days ago. The biggest adjustment for a player like Jace is that most teams never played a single season at any level in his life. And I think fatigue has been a factor for him. I mean, it's 50-some games more than he's ever played. That's a shock to the system. Jace has struck out more than anybody else on the team. He knows he's got to improve on that. He told me, I've never struck out this much anywhere else in my life. So he knows what he's got to work on in the offseason. Strike zone recognition, especially that inside corner slider that he's really taking for a lot of cold third strikes this year. But no, I think the Braves, like both Peterson and Castro, they both do really good things at second base. Castro is kind of a sticky nose in the dirt player and grinds it out. He's a dirt bag, and I mean that with the greatest possible compliment. And a team can't have too many guys like that. Whether he's a super utility guy or a guy that can start for us remains to be seen. But every time he plays, he does something good, and those are the kinds of players managers like, and I hope fans do too.
Yeah, if there's one thing Freddie Gonzalez has always liked, is that utility guy. I think back to Martin Prado and then Phil Gosselin.
And Martin Prado, I think, is a really good comparison, Corey, because that's exactly the way Martin Prado played when he first came up. He's not going to hit a lot of home runs, but he's going to pin the ball to the right side. He's going to put it in play. He's going to run the bases well. He's going to make all the plays for you. And you don't really even notice he's there until he does something good. And I think for a young player, that's a really, really good way to get noticed, if you will.
Well, the Braves continue their series against the Blue Jays tonight at 7 p.m. on Sports South, and then take on the Phillies beginning Friday, and all those games will be seen on Fox Sports South. Friday night, zombie night. Chip, I'm sure there's going to be some jokes in there about a certain offense rising from the dead. Let's hope to keep those to a minimum. Chip, as always, appreciate your time. For Chip Carey, this is Corey McCartney. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.
Foul back. Drive out to deep right center field. But that'll be off the wall in right center. The relay, the tag, and he is called out trying for 2. Bad decision.
This is going to turn into one of those no harm, no foul situations out there on the mound. He serves out the base hit here, but that guy's thinking 2 all the way. It doesn't work out for him.
Here's the switch hitting Nick Swisher. As he'll swing and lift a foul ball off to the left and out of play. Now here it comes. Swing and a ball hit softly on the ground, but this will wind up a foul ball, strike 2. Here it comes. And he goes against the shift there as this is on the ground to the left side. Throw on to first will get him. Score at 5-3 on the putout, though it looked more like a 6-3 ground ball. Nevertheless, there are 2 away now.
Wow, that's just unfortunate right there. Let's take a view at this play from upstairs. As you can see, there's only one guy on the left side of the infield. He's got big gaps to both the left and right side of the third baseman over there, but he hits it pretty much right at him.
Stepping in now, Christian Bethencourt. He'll take a cold strike here on a borderline pitch at strike one.
Tonight, borderline calls.
This is MLW Radio Extra for Friday, September 25th, as we continue our coverage of the drama that is this fucking podcast. And how better to finish out a weird 7-day stretch than to have MSL ride shotgun on this podcast as we throw everyone an unexpected curveball. Maurice, welcome home.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
It's going a lot better than it was a few days ago. I'll tell you that. I got a few more gray hairs, but I'm doing much better. And
I have a few less hairs.
Well, we don't want to get into your personal hygiene, but it is good to have you back, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners are happy to hear your voice this Friday, the usual date for Hell of a Deal, and to have you on is a good thing. And I don't give up easily. And when I answered some folks on Twitter that I was still trying to fix things, you probably all just rolled your eyes if you saw that tweet. And we all fixed it. And it took everyone's help. And, this is like one of those things where I just don't want it to seem like we take ourselves so seriously or we come across like douchebags. But this was a lot of work. And it was a whole weird thing. It's like a big dysfunctional family, and to see everyone fighting and trying to mediate it and trying to make it better, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
Well, you've been trying for like over a year to handle this thing, so it was not from a lack of effort on your part.
Oh my God. I was just, I've been working on keeping this thing together, but, even in the last several days, before it came public, I guess, we just kind of ran out of time. And things blew up so fast from there, it became like a shit blizzard. And I couldn't bring everyone back down to earth. But after, like I said, several days, we got there. Literally, as last night, I was waiting for my flight in an airport in Mexico. We finally, at like, I don't want to say, maybe midnight Mexico City time, everyone was on the same page and all was well finally. And with that said,
I got like a million messages, man. Most of which were extremely supportive from the fans, and let's be honest. If it wasn't for the fans being so overwhelming, I don't know if Conan would have compromised. So I think and he wanted to listen to the fans, and so I definitely thank the fans for having my back. I also got some messages saying, why didn't Court have your back? And I don't think the fans understood. It wasn't that you didn't have my back. You have been trying all this time to get things to get things settled. And basically, for the people who don't know the details, and I guess this is the first time I'm talking about it, like you said, you just ran out of time. You didn't want anybody to go. I didn't want anybody to go. And you offered, you said, hey, man, Conan, this is his position. I think I can change his mind. I don't know how long it's going to take. You offered to keep paying me and just wanted me to wait a little bit until you could change Conan's mind. And for me, I didn't want the fans to miss the shows. So that's why I did what I did, just so the shows would keep coming out. And it was just like the clock had run out. But you didn't give up, man. And so for anybody that thinks that Court was picking sides or anything like that is not what was going on.
I think it's probably easy just to, like, from the outside looking in, not probably knowing all the details, because we put a lot of the details out there on each side, but it's like, you don't have all the details, and I don't want to continue going down that road, but it was like time ran out, but we went into overtime, thank God. And with that said, thank you for reconsidering your resignation. Having you and Sully back where you belong is, well, a hell of a deal. And I also want to shout out Conan, who had no reason to budge, and I don't think anyone would have expected him to, but he did. And that to me was says a lot for Conan. If you've been following him on Twitter and everything, he read your feedback, and something he has said, all of us, you, myself included, that whether it's a promotion, book, or whatever, you always gotta listen to your fans, and you
have to listen to what they want. And Conan did just that. He'll speak about it on a future podcast, I am sure, and he'll probably say something about it on Twitter. But he said it. He said, he's listening to his fans, and he's listening to our fans, to our listeners. And so he is who he is, and he's very blunt. But at the same time, for someone to then say, you know what,
Well, you get the sense that what they need
I gotta listen to the fans. That takes a lot. Trust me. That takes a lot. Whether you have a big ego or no ego or whatever, that takes a lot.
Well, I think the reaction from a lot of the fans was, listen, there's people that don't get along at work, and they don't have to necessarily work in the same team. There's lots of different departments, or however you want to phrase it. And the common response from the fans was, why can't Conan do his thing, and then MSL and Sullivan will do their thing? Which I think was logical, and I think, the fans spoke out, and Conan said, okay, that makes sense, and so I'm excited, man. The MSL and Sullivan show will debut next Friday, and Sullivan and I are psyched, man. It's not like we wanted to go anywhere, so I'm glad everything got worked out.
Yeah, no, and again, thank you, Em, but also thank you, Conan, and thank you, listeners, for caring. I appreciate just people caring that much, because we always want to over-deliver. We always want to give you guys what you want, and whenever we don't, we feel bad, because we always want to over-deliver. And it's interesting too, because part of this experience, we were going to roll out new shows, and so now I look at the lineup, and you have on our lineup now, you have Sullivan, yourself, Jim Cornette, MVP, Conan, myself, a bunch of WWE rioters, the Talking Shop guys, the New Japan guys. Every day of the week we're going to have something. Also, Matt Farmer and James Vanderbeek are going to have a show just focusing on the indies and history of wrestling. I mean, to me, it's like we really it's like our new fall lineup all of a sudden. I swear this was not an angle. Just for everyone thinking this was some crazy angle, listen. I don't think we could have booked it like this, and I think if we did, we probably would have had it been on crack to do it. But anyway, again, I want to thank Conan, I want to thank you, and everyone, all that was listening, and speaking up, man.
The fans booked this shit, bro.
I don't know who booked us off a cliff here, but I also want to thank Extra Strength Tylenol for helping me get through this personally.
I literally flew back from Mexico with no sleep, right? I've got you on the phone. We might as well talk some shit while we're here.
Yeah.
And listen, listen, you have no idea how much it meant to me that so many fans came to my side, especially when I've spent 3 years kind of playing devil's advocate on the show. So I totally would have understood if everyone was like, fuck that guy. But I really think, man, it's been like a crazy week, and you on no sleep, back from Mexico. How'd the trip go?
The trip went really, really well. I was really happy with how it went. It was very quick. It was very productive. I'm tired as hell. I woke up yesterday, Thursday, at 3 a.m. New York time. Took the first flight down to Mexico City, then hauled ass back up here on a midnight flight, around 12:20 a.m. flight, and am now ready to crash. So if I sound kind of like a zombie, a little bit of a monotone today, it's because I'm going on no sleep, but
I got 2 hours. I slept from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And when I found out you didn't sleep at all, I felt like so shitty for bitching about the lack of sleep.
Jeez. I'll tell you, it's like when you're younger, I think you can operate on that. But also, here's the other thing. Last week, I was in Vegas, and we had very long production days, 3 days in a row. After the fights, I stayed up a little too late. That's my fault. But that being said, last week...
Were you at the blackjack table? What were you doing up so late?
I was just...
what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Let me just too much tequila, and I don't drink tequila. I'm not like a big drinker, so I was like, well, it was just a stressful 3 days, and after the fights, I just went back with that. I'm gonna have a drink at the bar. I never am that guy, and I just thought, well, let's have a shot. That'll ease me into my night. Go upstairs, go to bed, wake up, get on the plane, get home, and maybe have more than one shot. But it was a good time. It's just like it's been a long haul, a long few weeks, just in general, just a lot of stuff going on work-wise, and the world's most serious podcast drama, which is what MLW is. But it's been a fun few days.
Will there be a tag match at Wally Mania?
Well, we'll get into that later.
You're the special referee, me and Sullivan versus Disco and Conan.
Well, I like I said, I don't want to dwell on all this drama, but like I said, we have a really good lineup for going into the fall for the podcast schedule. All the shows I mentioned, and I might now just have my Wale Mania 2 steel cage grudge match.
It'll be a Money in the Bank match, Court. Briefcases hanging above the ring. Inside is a contract to take over any podcast you want. If I grab the briefcase, I become the host of the Jim Cornette Experience. Book it.
Jim Cornette's not going to be thrilled about you booking anything on a pole or the ladder. He's gonna be not on.
Cornette at Wally Mania will be fighting the Young Bucks.
I'll tell you, Cornette was like, he hit me up about all this drama. He's like, what is going on? I'm like, I don't know, Jim. Help.
Pretty nice. They come into a ball
game. I need someone to help me. I can't handle this. I'm just trying to keep my head above water. But
now we got our new feud. Now that the hatchet's buried everywhere else, the new feud, you versus Colt Cabana, I saw it on Twitter. For fans that don't know the backstory, this is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. You did a podcast with Conan over the weekend, and Conan had criticized me that he thinks maybe I watch too many movies. And honestly, like, for people that don't know my background, I had a very, very strict upbringing. I wasn't allowed to watch PG-13 or R-rated movies growing up. And then
your parents knew what they had on their hands. They're like, we're not going to make it any worse on ourselves.
Exactly. And then I ran away from home at a young age and ran off, essentially joining the circus by, wanting to go become a pro wrestler. So there's like a 10-year period of my life where it was wrestling and nothing else. So guys, I missed a bunch of movies. If that makes me a weirdo, so be it. I'm trying to go back to catch up, usually just picking a series and going in order. And you brought up Police Academy, which I had actually never seen. And you'd mentioned that your favorite was Citizens on Patrol.
Part 3 is also very good. I can't think of what the name of it is, but Part 4 is his.
But Citizens on Patrol, I know nothing about Police Academy, and even I know that's the most popular one. And so you tweeted out that was your favorite Police Academy. And
I actually just hit you up. I was like, man, you got to check out Citizens on Patrol.
Yeah, and I've downloaded all 7 Police Academies. I'll be marathoning them at some point in the next week or two. But so Colt Cabana responds.
No. If some fan had to stir the shit, it's like, oh, he's stealing your gimmick.
That's true.
And it's like, apparently you can't talk about Police Academy movies or celebrate them by just recommending someone watch one without some fans stirring their shit. So
here's Colt's response. Years ago, doing stand-up opening for Mick, of course, Mick Foley. Citizens on Patrol was a critical part of my act. I don't even know what that means.
This one's in there. Maybe should have been.
If Police Academy is a critical part of your act, you probably need a new act.
I'm just like, I just was recommending a movie. I don't understand how this became.
Did he really think? Because have you ever been to a Mick stand-up comedy show?
Yeah, the Upright Citizens Brigade. He did one in 2011. I checked that one out.
And I've never seen one. I would love to, but I knew that you'd seen one. So I was wondering, like, was Colt accusing you of catching him as the opening act and then like stealing his idea of that being his favorite movie? Because I'm pretty sure that's a lot of people's favorite movie. Like
I just like the characters in the movie. And they go like, I think they go like Miami or something like that. It's like that's it. Like that's basically all my takeaway. And I thought it was funny. I don't know. I didn't know, like, if you're in wrestling and you reference a movie, it's like, no, I have ownership of that movie. It's like, and here's the thing, I've never talked to Colt Cabana in my life, so I don't know if he was being funny. He could have been, that's the thing, like, I still don't know if, like, his tone was being funny to me, like, that's a critical part, and he was just being silly, or I don't know. I literally
Let's get that fan who was stirring up the shit, and he'll find out for us.
Oh, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he's our intrepid reporter here to help us.
Before we go, a couple more things, as it's, we've been talking a lot lately, but there's been other things on our mind we haven't necessarily been talking about. Breaking wrestling news. Sting,
yes.
we don't know if is he retired. We're not sure how bad is the injury. Were you watching, or did you see that match before you knew he got hurt?
I actually watched most of the match, and then left the room or was screwing around doing something, and then everyone's like, oh, he collapsed. So I still haven't seen the moment where he got nailed, but I did see where he went through the table. And, man, this 56-year-old guy, I don't care how great shape he is or how willing he is, that's really not the kind of match you lay out for a 56-year-old. Or if he's pushing for that match, you got to be able to say, I respect your passion and wanting to deliver for the fans, but it's our responsibility to say at 56, you go through a table, you taking a turnbuckle power bomb is probably not in anyone's best interest. And
Sting looked incredible. Yeah. I was so impressed.
Awesome.
As that match is going on, I'm sitting there going, he's going to get hurt, and it's not like he got hurt right after I was thinking that, but there were just too many big spots where you were tilting the odds in favor of injury. It was unnecessary. You could have cut out a couple of those spots. I was really disappointed in the company. I really was. I was sad watching it, and I hope he makes a full recovery. But man, if that's his last match, I know it's not the ending he probably wanted. But oh my God, at 56 to move the way he did and look the way he did and jumping off the top rope to the floor, full fucking credit to Sting, man. I was super impressed.
Yeah, and it's weird because they really were very. They didn't seem like they had a lot of faith in Sting for his WrestleMania match. They put a lot of smoke and mirrors there. They booked it like a guy that probably couldn't do anything. And so then he works that match on Raw with Big Show, Cena, all that stuff. And then they're like, oh, let's just go all out. So they book him in back-to-back matches on Raw. Then they put him in this match. So they go from kind of probably being overly conservative to straight up being reckless in the span of 6 months. And I don't understand that. Listen, I don't expect Sting to be the guy that's beating everyone on the roster on the top. But at the same time, I think for fans that wanted to see Sting finally in WWE, they couldn't have created a worse kind of presentation of Sting in WWE. Whether he was to face Hunter or someone else, I think fans didn't get that satisfaction of seeing their guy in WWE and feeling rewarded for that experience. I don't think it's been a rewarding experience for fans. I think he's had some good moments, really cool stuff. I even think that there was the nostalgia factor of the WrestleMania match was fun for what it was in the smoke and mirrors with the NWO and all that. But I'm not saying the losses matter a great deal, but I think if he never wrestles again, okay, he went 0-2. I don't even know what happened in that Raw match. I don't remember. I just remember there was they changed the match and now it was a tag. But it was kind of it's a disappointing presentation of the guy when the high profile matches are matches that haven't given him much. And I'm not saying this guy should be going over and beating people on top at all. But there are definitely guys on the roster they could have fed to him or done things to make him stand out a little bit and give fans that satisfaction that we're waiting for this moment. Do you think he faces Undertaker at WrestleMania 32 in Dallas? Or is this guy, pending whatever's going on with his neck, because of course, if his neck is thrashed, he should definitely not pursue any more.
Well, my gut says that based on the way that things have been presented with this Brock Lesnar health tour and some of the dates he's got coming up, my personal opinion is that WrestleMania is Brock versus Steve Austin, The Rock versus Triple H in some form, whether that involves Ronda Rousey or not, Undertaker versus Sting, Triple H, if he's not doing something with The Rock, they're probably doing something with Seth Rollins. No idea what John Cena is doing. But yeah, I do think it ends up being Undertaker and Sting, which I think would be a weird match because it's babyface versus babyface. But I would say 99 out of 100 people in that building would strongly prefer Undertaker to Sting. Sting's never been an effective heel really in his career. I think if you were going to do that match, that needed to be Sting's first match. And I think by now doing it after we've seen Sting a few times,
they're on top 2-0.
That one's at risk, I think, of being a letdown, but I do think they're going to do it.
Here's another question for you. I just can't. You just talked about WWE Network doing specials at the Garden, talking about Sting, and all of a sudden I'm feeling nostalgic. Do you think there's anything to doing a WCW reunion at Center Stage as a WWE Network exclusive?
If I was going to do a WCW reunion, I wouldn't necessarily do it at center stage because if you look at WCW's biggest period in terms of their biggest popularity, honestly, probably the types of venues that the fan associates as being like a WCW themed thing were the stuff that really stood out because WWE never did it. So that's whether it's at the club with the water or whether it's the motorcycle thing.
No, they should definitely not do any of these things.
And I wouldn't do the motorcycle thing, but I'm just saying, if you wanted to make the scenery part of making the reunion feel authentic, I think those are the only things that to the average fan,
you know what though,
would matter.
I think actually you're onto something, but what I would say is you could probably just book any arena
in Atlanta, really.
Yeah, any arena in Atlanta, right? I'd do it like a little bit smaller, not center stage small, you're right. But what I would do is have the Nitro set. Yes, and it's the classic Nitro set, not the Nitro stuff.
Through 7 1/3 innings now, it's just not been able to mount any kind of offense against him at all.
Ichiro Suzuki will get the call here as he'll hit for the pitcher.
Playing baseball, what are you doing?
I want to go to bed.
Why?
Because I'm tired.
Already?
Yeah.
Now it's a swing and a ground ball. Throw gets him, 2 down.
What?
With that, we'll give you a look at our starter comparison for the 2 starting pitchers in the game, and the column to look at is the one on the right side of your screen. Not too many hits to go around at this point in the ballgame. D. Gordon will stand in for the 4th time now, still looking for his first hit of the ballgame.
And he's not the only one either. This has been a great pitching performance so far, and they've had these guys chasing their tails all game long.
Here's the first offering. Here's a cold strike about thigh high, 0-1.
And you know, this is a guy that loves the ball down and in. It's one of the locations he really covers well, so they're going to want to mix their spots here.
Here it comes. And
That's
here's a curveball in the dirt that time for a ball. 1-1. Coming up on the century mark in pitches now through the first 7 2/3. Here's the 1-1 pitch.
You're sweeping the Walmart parking lot.
Goes the other way as this is line to left. Swisher is there, and he'll make the catch to retire the side. Miami down in order. They're down 2-0. Number 46 will come in and pitch now.
Oh, they're all in there? Okay.
How long are you staying up for?
Up a little bit.
What time did you get up this morning?
I just tied the trash up. What are you doing?
And this is going to be a foul ball.
PlayStation?
No, I'm watching football.
Oh, yeah. Who's playing?
I don't know.
And now a pitch
What
on the
channel?
way. And he goes against the shift there as this is on the ground to the left side. And he's retired 1 away.
And that's what the 2-seam fastball will do for you. Running away, not just for strikeouts. Here he gets them to hit it on the ground for an easy out.
Christian Bethencourt will stand in. One of the few guys not to join the hit parade so far. First pitch coming. And this is hit sharply toward the third base coaching box, a foul ball. The pitch. Swing and a shot towards second. In time to first, and there are 2 away. Very brisk pace to the ball game thus far. 2-0 our score as you get a look there at the line score to this point in the contest. Joey Terdoslavich will stand in. He flew out his last time up. Here's the first pitch to him. Now a swing and a hard hit ball to short. And a close play at first, but he's called out and the side is retired.
Yeah, 2-0.
Braves are set down 1-2-3 as they're unable to add to their 2-0 lead. Christian Yelich will be tasked now with leading things off in their half of the ninth as they'll try to do something to prevent being shut out.
Yeah, and whatever they've done for the first 8 innings hasn't yielded a whole lot so far, so quite frankly, I'm not expecting too much.
Number 64 will be the new pitcher.
There we go.
Here we go with inning number 9 as the first pitch misses for ball 1.
Hear it?
So they get the matchup they wanted here, lefty on lefty, but it's worth noting there are 2 right-handers to follow.
And you've got a right-hander going in the bullpen as we speak, so this could be a one-batter out.
There's a fastball for a strike, and that evens the count at 1-1.
Yeah, there's a good one right there, right over the top. Just fire that thing in there.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. There's a swing and a ball lifted to left, but back in the seats, out of play. It's 1-2. Here's the lefties offering on 1-2. And this one's chopped foul right at home.
Foul ball.
Here's another 1-2. Tries to get him to chase the curveball away, but it breaks outside. 2-2 now.
Ooh, there's a tough one to take right there on a 1-2 pitch, especially after fighting off so many pitches leading up to that one.
2-2 pitch on the way. And a swing and a miss. Good pitch there for the first out here in the ninth.
Well, that's what he's up here to do. Some late inning heat out of the bullpen, and he finishes him off with a good fastball here for career strikeout number 1.
Giancarlo Stanton now. As he'll look at a fastball too high for ball 1.
Well, you know, if there's anybody in this lineup capable of getting a rally started, this is the guy right here.
1 out, nobody on. Here comes the 1-0. Sneaks a fastball high into the letters at 1-1.
That's about where he'll sit with that fastball. 93, 94. That's plenty hard enough to blow by guys when you need to.
Now the 1-1. And a curveball here. Good pitch, but a better take, and it's the 2-1 now. A 2-1 offering.
This thing is so impressive about this guy. He'll show you that good breaking ball, but then he'll run one fastball up the ladder at 92, 93.
2-2. And that's low, so a good eye there as he works the count back full. What's the call here?
I still don't think I throw him a strike. There's a good chance that he's going to be chasing something, expand the zone, so you make him show you that he can hold back.
Swinging a ball hits softly on the ground, but this will get foul, so they'll do it again. 3-2. Payoff pitch one more time. Swing, hard hit ball to second. And a bit of a high throw that time, but no problem over there at first as they record the out.
Yeah, it's kind of been one of those days. There haven't been too many balls hit hard, and even when they do hit one hard, it's an atom ball.
Marcell Ozuna will stand in as their last chance now. Aroldis Vizcaino is on now to try to close things down here in the ninth. Pitch to him. And a fastball's in there for strike one. And hit. Oh, and a swing and a miss on that one. The Marlins find themselves down to their final strike now. Boy, no messing around here in this ninth inning.
And that's a closer mentality. They're not usually the best at setting guys up. They're going to come right at you with their best pitch, usually a fastball.
And now this crowd, announced at around 22,000, comes to their feet. Now a swing and a miss on a pitch that tied him up in knots, and the ball game is over.
That's about as economical a save as you're ever going to find. He only threw 4 pitches, but they're enough to get the job done.
There you have it.
Final check of the line score as you see the key players there in this shutout victory.
Okay.
Well, you always hope to get a good outing from your starting pitcher, but this man went above and beyond in this one. He's our top player of the game.
Yeah, he wound up turning things over to his bullpen in the ninth, but still, 8 strong innings for him. He was hitting his spots all game long.
Yes. There you go. Oh, they gave me a thing. Oh, I'll be there probably about 8 o'clock or so.
8 o'clock?
Yeah.
Why?
Get it done.
Are you talking about the school or are you talking about
Yeah, where else?
the cows? You want to go to bed?
Yeah.
So you can get some sleep. Are you going to run off 3 hours of sleep?
I don't need that much sleep.
I need lots of sleep. Well, if I'm good enough, I can mention you.
1 hour. 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 1 ho tired.
I told you why. But you go to bed at like 2:30 and you get up at 7. Kind of tired.
AAA baseball for you now on the show as we present coverage from the International League. The homestand continues with the second of two between the Norfolk Tides and the Gwinnett Braves.
Okay.
Ray Navarro moved towards the batter's box as we're just about set to get underway tonight. And we kick things off tonight with a swing and a miss for a first pitch strike as we're underway. EK, you take a look at our homestanding 9 as they enter play here this evening. Then a middling start to the season as they come in 2-3 over their first 5.
And things haven't gone all that smoothly for them here on this homestand. They won just twice
Going to
in
bed?
5 games, so they're going to be looking to get a little offense going to take some of the pressure off of this pitching staff.
No, I'm not going to bed.
1-1. Swinging a hard hit ball down the line in right. And he is going to have extra bases to start the evening. He'll get it into second, but it won't be in time, and it's a leadoff double.
Oh, it's just so important for a visiting ball club to come out swinging in the first inning. You got to do what you can do to get on the board first. And he gives him a good shot at that right here as he kicks off the night with a leadoff double.
Derek Gibson as he takes a fastball off the plate for a ball 1-0. The 1-0 pitch. And the slider's in the dirt as he lays off it for a ball.
Yeah, and he didn't even have to think twice about that one. And now he's got a good hitters count here, 2-0.
And he'll lay the fastball in here to get the count back to 2-1. Now a swing and a hard hit ball to short. And a good throw gets him 1 gone.
Well, the inning starts nicely with that leadoff double, but a second from a strikeout, the ground ball to short is about the last thing you want to have happen. You know, if this is to the second baseman, that's great, but that's just a wasted out here.
Chris Farmer will get his first opportunity now with the leadoff man still at second here with 1 gone now. Starts him out with a slider for a strike.
One thing to keep an eye on as this game goes along, first pitch strike. The more this guy can work from ahead, the better off he's going to be.
Steps out of it. Foul back. He's ready to pitch. And he goes and chops this one out towards second. In time to first, and there are 2 away.
These days in this game, we talk so much about situational hitting. Hit behind the runners, move guys up. But with 1 out, you got to try to drive that guy in. That was a really unproductive out, even though the guy moved for third.
Alvarez will stand in now in an early RBI spot in the top of the first. He's ready now to pitch. Out of play. From the belt, pitch. And this is hit hard on the ground at first. And he'll step on the bag himself, and the inning is over. So a good job on the mound there as he'll strand the runner at third in the opening half inning. So it's on to the bottom of inning number 1, no score. Luis Mateo will step in now to lead things off in the home half of the first. Swinging a ball chop foul down the left side.
That was Vader. That was such bizarreness. But yeah, I would put that out there. And now that Eric Bischoff is back, kind of in some way with
he's back and better than ever. He's got it now.
He's kind of aged a little bit, but hey, we all do. But that would be interesting. I mean, Flair's dying to do anything. You have Arn as a part of the company. You have Sting. Tony Schiavone's in Georgia. I don't know if they'd ever use him. I don't know if he would ever do anything. But you could also bring in JR. But even though he wasn't a Nitro guy, You could fill that out. You could fill Malenko. You could bring Liger. You could do something really cute with that. I think there's enough fans that would really get kind of excited to see something like that as a one-off. I don't know what's the in-ring though. What is your in-ring?
Yeah, that's
the $1 million question.
I'm a WWE mark. I'd like to see it. I agree with you. It would be cute. And speaking of cute, I don't know if you saw this mugshot of Tammy Sytch.
Well, you're just the segue made me nervous, and of course.
I don't know if you saw this mugshot of Tammy Sytch. She's been arrested. There was a warrant out for her arrest. I don't know if this is true, but rumors are saying that she was performing a striptease on Skype, and that's how the cops found her. I don't know if it's true or false. But she has been arrested, and also Jimmy Snuka's been arrested. Man, what the hell's going on?
Well, it's the Sunny thing. It's just like I always just think back to when she had the world. She had the world by the balls, and she was like the first true like lady of wrestling. But really, that was Missy in a lot of ways. But after Missy, the first one of WWE at least, and I don't think got Miss Elizabeth too. So I guess that's not even true. But she could have had a major run. Is where I'm getting at.
You didn't get the vibe that Miss Elizabeth would fuck you. So the vibe with Sunny was very different.
It's a good way of putting it. I'm so tired just trying to comprehend half of this. I'm very slow, so everyone, I'm sorry, but just going on like no sleep. But Sunny had the world. She had the world, and it's sad to see someone that had such a big run in her. And unfortunately, it didn't come to fruition. Bad decisions, bad lifestyle choices, all of that led to wherever she's at now. And the Snuka thing is just. It's a sad thing. I'm curious to see how this case plays out. And I know Meltzer and something in the Observer a week or two ago talking about Vince McMahon and there's a lot of questions like how that plays into this, if at all. I guess the story goes in Jimmy Snuka's book how Vince showed up with a briefcase, and 2-3 weeks later, essentially, the case was dismissed on grounds of like insignificant evidence, even though the coroner had deemed the death a homicide.
Well, the first time we ever mentioned the case on our show, which was years ago, and listen, I'm not saying we broke the story or anything like that. In the business, this whole thing was common knowledge. That's not what I'm saying. But there were lots of fans that had never heard the story before. It's not like it was something that was being talked about publicly constantly. It kind of been swept under the rug. And when I had brought it up on the show, a lot of fans were shocked, didn't know if it was true. And again, I don't know if it's true. I have no way of knowing. All I can say is that one of the guys that broke me in was broken in by Buddy Rogers, and Buddy Rogers always insisted, A, that it was true, and B, she wasn't the only one. So I always, from the day I broke in, and back then, Jimmy Snuka was coming to lots of shows in South Florida. He had a school down there at one point. I was always warned, stay away from Jimmy Snuka. He's a shady guy. He gets coked up. He kills hookers. Again, these are allegations. I'm not saying it's true. But
this is going to be your first and last show back. You're going to get us all sued. You're going to get everyone on MLW Radio sued.
I am speaking to what I was told, and I have no way of knowing it's true. Legal disclaimer. But hey,
I want to say I've never heard this. Just to continue what we had discussed, whatever it was, years ago on this subject, I had never heard that. All I can just tell you is like one of the first award banquets, I guess was what it was. I was the Wild Samoan. I guess called the Wild Samoan like Wrestling Federation at the time. I was just breaking into the business, and they had like an awards banquet. And afterwards, everyone's having drinks and stuff, and the Malibu rum is flowing, and that's primarily what the Samoans typically love to drink. And Malibu rum is a damn fine drink. But Snuka was having a hell of a time. All of a sudden, he has a sombrero on. He's laughing. He's at the jukebox singing, and I'm like, this is amazing. I've never seen Superfly other than as a fan, and I see him over there in the corner having a good time with some people. I'm like, this is crazy. Then he comes, sits next to me. He's buying drinks for everyone, and buying. I don't know if he bought me a drink or not, but the bar's starting to clear out, and another Samoan comes up to me and says, "Hey, brother, it's time for you to head back to your room." I was like, "All right, what's up?" He goes, "You don't want to be the last one drinking with Jimmy." And the next morning I'm leaving the hotel, and Jimmy had gotten into it with one of the Samoan that had told me that warned me that, and they had it out, and it wasn't pretty. They were, they were both out like babies by that point, but they had a throwdown, and so Jimmy's apparently not the last guy you want to be left with at the bar. So bad things can and have possibly happened, I guess. So the case is a weird one. All these years later, hopefully there's some closure for the family if this thing does proceed, if they do get a conviction. I haven't read a lot about the case now. There's a lot of stuff out there. It's the evidence that we are aware of. It's hard. It's like it's hard to see it any other way.
And it's the power of the internet, Court, because we live in a day and age now where it is harder than ever to sweep something under the rug and make the public forget. Because whoever the
no one remembers I was a failed promoter, for God's sakes. What are you talking about?
Whoever the advocate is for any cause or any situation where someone thinks there's been an injustice, it's so much easier to draw attention to your voice. And and maybe 20 years ago, the few people that still had interest in this case, how would they have caused enough ruckus to get it reopened? So it's really the power of the internet, and I think it's a great thing. I really do, and I hope we find out one way or the other if it's true or if it's false. And
well, speaking of the power of the internet, the Tampa Tribune is reporting that a number of media outlets, including the AP, have requested that the Pinellas County Court in Tampa unseal records related to the Hulk Hogan lawsuit against Gawker. If that happens, then they release, I guess, the remaining materials of that sex tape. Are we in for another round of bad news for Hulk Hogan as he tries once again to rally back and have a classic Hogan comeback?
Well, this is why I thought it was such a poor decision on his part to attempt this apology tour so soon, because you knew there was a very high probability that more might come out. And you only have so many apology tours in you before it's the boy who cried wolf. And I know this is stuff that happened years ago, but he needed to just lay low, because once his lawsuit is over, the chances of stuff leaking is minimized, because I really do think Gawker's trying to use some of this stuff as leverage to get him to drop the suit. So if he's determined to see this thing out, save your apology tour, and maybe if you make millions in the loss, you don't even need an apology tour. Just fucking retire.
The ball hit foul down the third base line, so they'll try it again.
Hello? What's he doing?
Here he comes again, 1-2. Swing and a ball hit softly on the ground. Throw to first meantime. The leadoff man is gone to start the third.
Well, that's just good pitching right there. Really ties him up with that fastball in on the hands. And he hits just a simple ground ball there for the easy out.
Audrey Perez will stand in, and you see the slow start by the numbers as he's struggling to crack 200 on this new season. Here's the 1-0. Now a little tapper here up the first baseline, but a foul ball, 1-1. Now the 1-1 pitch. Oh, they have him looking awfully confused up there right now. It's 1-2.
Well, he's not letting them get a gauge on anything here on those first three pitches. He saw a slider, a fastball, then a big curveball. Now he's set up for almost anything on a 1-2 pitch.
Now a swing and a miss here as he's down on strikes. It's 2 up, 2 down to begin the third.
Right over the top here with the four-seam fastball. Good drive through the release. Just threw it right by him at the letters.
Ray Navarro will stand in now with 2 away, trying to avoid another 1-2-3 inning.
Now, this has been total domination these past few innings. They haven't been able to mount any kind of threat whatsoever.
So they stay.
Here's the first pitch to him.
So they're staying with
Outside
your
target
dad.
here, and he hits it for strike 1.
So they're staying with your
Here it
dad.
comes. Awfully close with the slider there, but it's 1-1.
And that's the right spot for that slider. Really try hard to tie him up inside. And that's a good job to lay off, too.
And a front foot curveball here that misses down and in for ball 2. Now a curveball here, nowhere close. That's in the dirt. It's 3-1.
Yeah, and you know what? You've got a better matchup on deck here with 2 outs. So on 3-1 now, they may not take any chances with this guy.
And the payoff pitch is chopped foul at home plate, so we'll do it again. Still 3-2. The next 3-2. Boy, really making him work now as the 7th pitch of the at-bat is also fouled away, so the count will hold steady at 3 balls and 2 strikes. That's on the ground to short. This should end the inning. And indeed it will. He throws him out at first, and the side is retired.
Good night.
I think more, but yeah, I think more will definitely come out.
Number 25 makes his way to the plate to get us started here in the bottom of inning number 3. Now a swing and a sharp ground ball to third. And he's retired here, 1 away.
Trying to compel Hulk to stop pursuing his lawsuit, which the folks at Gawker have said publicly. It's like they don't know if they can financially.
Luis Mateo will dig in again. He grounded out to start the home first.
And so, conveniently, I guess is the best way to put it. Things have.
Now here's the first pitch. And bouncing ball, foul.
It's very convenient that things somehow came out.
On the surface, when Hulk
now here it comes.
Years ago, I thought it was
now a swing and another chance at third. Oh, and this deflects right off him. And they'll have no play as he reaches first base safely.
You sue or have any DMCA takedown notices you post, it's already out there. The only reason I hesitate to commit to that position 100% is if he
number 3 will be the batter. 0 for 1 here in the Arizona.
It was worth it. But that's a big if, man, because they'll probably just file for bankruptcy. I don't see how he's ever going to see a penny.
So many things can happen, which is not like this massive.
Here's the first pitch.
Like a lot of the websites.
And he takes ball 1.
Part of
Finally. That's the first ball they've taken all night. About time, boys.
So they can't just throw money into litigation. Some companies have their strategy is they just carve out a certain amount of money.
Here's the 1-0.
Litigation payouts.
Swung on and lifted in the air to left.
To keep this going back to WCW today.
Harmony will get there with ease as he puts it away for out number 2.
Budget for legal settlements during the Nitro Money WWE Raw Wars, the Monday Night Wars. They had budgeted that every year.
Cedric Hunter will stand in. He grounded out his first time.
Have to put up whatever legal resources to combat what's going on with WWE or elsewhere.
Here's the first offering. There's a swing and a ground ball. This is foul for the first strike.
But I think for WCW, they were being kind of most aggressive.
Bottom of inning number 3, 0-0 our score.
Just to keep the momentum going. But
he's ready. Now the pitch. And he just gets a piece there as this is chopped foul.
Very effective with it in some ways. In other ways, not so much. They certainly made a lot of lawyers rich.
Well, if I go over the
from the belt to the pitch. Out in front as he rolls over it to second. Throw in time and the side is retired. So it's no runs on a hit, no errors, and a man left.
That's set up somewhere in Florida.
Derek Gibson will stand in now to get us going here in the 4th.
Not anyone else doing podcasts, just the dudes.
I'm not even a part of the trust fund, dude.
First pitch on the way. This is hit down the right field line, but it's going to get out of play for strike 1.
I'm the black sheep of the family, and
pitch on the way.
Listen, man, we're gonna go back to that.
This is foul right side.
Everybody get me a wallet, and dude, I had so many fans come up to me and they inspect my beer. What the hell are you talking about? That was just
now here's the pitch.
He was also trying to peel out his eyebrow. So
pitch in the dirt, swung on and missed for strike 3 as they'll need to throw to first here. Throw on to first is in time to get him, so that'll go down as a strikeout and a 2-3 putout for out number 1. Chris Parmalee will stand in. He grounded out his first time. And a high strike to begin the at-bat. It's 0-1. Not much to shout about for either team here as we start the 4th inning, 0-0.
Yeah, I think we kind of knew that pitching might take the upper hand here. Maybe not to this extent, but both guys have really been.
That's in there as well. It's a quick 0-2 count.
Yeah, that pitch is still up a little bit, but at least this one was out on a corner. I don't think I'd want to be making a living up there too much.
Gone! A mistake on 0-2 gets punished, and it's a home run.
Kevin Sullivan and MSL take you through that, and that's going to be free. MSL
a solo shot here to straightaway right field. As they get on the board first, it's 1-0.
And tomorrow, we have a new talking shop coming out with MVP bearing Dave Penzer, and rightfully so if you've met Dave Penzer. Then MVP is back with the VIP lounge. I believe it's going to come out Sunday night. And at some point,
here's the sequence one more time on Showtrack. He looks at strike one, looks at strike two. Now that pitcher's got a false sense of security, and he unloads on the 0-2 pitch. Got all of that one.
In now, Alvarez. He'll swing and send a line drive out to right field. But this will hang just long enough for him to run it down in shallow right for the second out.
And that's one of those plays where you might need to reinforce the laces on your glove after this inning ends. This is a fastball, and it is hammered. I mean smoke. But he ends up with nothing, and his average is going to go down.
Into the box, Christian Walker. As he will take strike one on the fastball here. No balls and a strike.
Tonight, borderline calls, you got to be swinging.
And the pitch. And this is going to be fouled into the diamond level seat. Now the pitch. And a slider swung on and missed, and the side is retired. So only one hit in the inning on the solo shot, but it's enough to push him out in front. To the bottom of inning number 4 we go. The Tide's out in front, 1-0. Eddie Martinez will lead things off here in the home half of the fourth. Here's the ball hit pretty well and carrying to deep right. Alvarez is there, and he has it for the out.
He's just trying to get a fastball in there to start the inning. Ball winds up getting hit pretty well, but not well enough to do any damage. It's a 1 pitch out.
Yuri Perez will dig in here. Flew out his first time around. First pitch fastball swung on and missed 0-1.
Well, as we've seen so far, this isn't a team that's going to wait around too long to feel a pitcher out. They're an aggressive team all the way from top to bottom. And if that first pitch is anywhere close, most of these guys are going to take a hack at it.
Now here's the pitch. He lifts a high pop-up, drifting into foul territory on the right side. Walker is over now, and he's got it for round number 2. Number 47 will dig in. 0 for 1 here in this one. First pitch coming. Swing and a miss on a pitch in the dirt, and it's strike 1.
And after another swing and miss on a pitch out of the zone, I think it's time to start taking a different approach.
Yeah, they've fallen behind way too easy, haven't they?
You're just not going to have a lot of success with going behind.
And this ball's heading for the seats down the right side as the count will move to 0-2 now. And now a pitch on the way. Swinging a ball hit on the ground. But this will wind up foul. Still 0-2. Now another 0-2. Here's a ball hit pretty well and carrying to deep right. Alvarez is going to have room out there as he puts this away to retire the side. Michael Almanzar will make his way towards the box to lead off the fifth.
Short staffing can be time to post to dozens of job sites. That's where zero.
First pitch to him. In there for strike 1, 0-1. There's his total now, just into his 5th inning of work. Nothing too out of the ordinary there.
The pitch count's the least of his worries. If his guys don't get him any runs, I don't think it'll matter all that much.
Mark, scary and odd stuff going on with Michael Evans here recently. A couple of things you don't normally see in
Here's the 1-1.
How is he doing, and what's the...
And he comes back with a fastball, 1-2 now.
And maybe that's off the black just a little bit, but when you're around the plate as much as he's been, you're going to find that you're going to get a few calls like that.
And a fastball. Tough take there, but it's even back at 2-2. And this misses, so that'll fill the count at 3-2. Swing and a ground ball towards the hole. And he'll take this to the bag of 3 unassisted for the first out. Number 12 will dig in. 0 for 1 in the ballgame. First offering on the way. In there, 0-1. Now the pitch. And there's a curveball in the dirt that time for a ball. 1-1. The pitch. Had nibbled the corner there, but missed. 2-1. Bases are empty, 1 man out. A swing and a miss there, 2-2.
You can hit the low fastball, but you're not going to hit that one up there. You can just forget about it. You've got to make him bring that thing down.
Now here's a ball hit hard on the ground towards short, and he'll let it fly from deep in the hole. And the throw will not be in time, and they don't think he was going to get him anyway, but a fine effort nonetheless.
Well, this would have taken a superhuman effort right here, deep in the hole. You see, he doesn't have time to plant himself, so he just leaps into the air, fires it across the diamond. Just a great effort, but this was always going to be a base hit.
Into the box now, number 3, as he'll get out ahead of a changeup and swing through it for strike 1.
Yeah, and it seems like he kind of got away from that pitch here in the last few innings. You got to think about bringing that one right back.
Hunter is there to put it away, and the runner will be forced to retreat back to first.
Well, the only good news that comes out of this at-bat is that he stayed out of the double play. Other than that, this at-bat really didn't achieve a whole lot.
Audrey Perez swings and misses there, so he's down 0-1. From the belt, kicks and deals. And this is fouled back and out of play. Both clubs with 3 hits in the ballgame. And he stays alive as this is grounded foul. Here comes another 0-2. And this one's in the dirt. Unfortunately here, no advance. From the stretch. And a fastball called strike 3, and the side is retired. Reed Harper will stand in to lead things off in the bottom of the 5th. Now the first pitch. Runs up to bunt here, but this is going to kick just foul down the line. Here's the pitch. Tries to drop one down here, but he misses. Strike 2. Now here's the pitch. And a good bite to that slider as he swings through it for the first out of the inning.
Just a great 2-strike pitch right there. And that's all you can say. As a hitter, you're seeing fastball out of his hand, and then boom! Just disappears on you.
Standing in now, number 19. So swing and lift a foul ball off to the left and out of play. Pitch on the way. Swung on and taken the opposite way out toward deep left center. And that's into the gap and should be extra bases. And he'll pull in there with a 1-out double. Number 25 will step in. He's 0 for 1 thus far. Here's the first offering. Big swing there as it's hit pretty well out toward deep left field. Parmalee is going to get there as he backs up to put it away, and there are 2 gone now. Luis Mateo will dig in 1 for 2. He grounded out the first time and followed that with a base hit in his second plate appearance. And he gets a piece here as this ball's fouled away. As a look, now the pitch. And this will find the seats behind the first base dugout. 2 out here and a runner at second. Comes set, now the pitch. And a good fastball swung on and missed for strike 3, and the inning is over. A golden opportunity to get on the board here goes for naught. Back with more here on a Tuesday night after this. Ray Navarro will get things started here in the top of inning number 6. First pitch coming. And a first pitch slider is right there for strike 1. Now for that man right there, only the 1 run allowed. How discouraging is that when you're pitching your heart out and you're just not getting the support?
Well, the good pitchers really don't let it get to them. They know that it cuts both ways. Sometimes you give up 5 runs and your guys score you 8. You just have to focus on holding up your end of the bargain.
Well, they'll run this one in on him, and he can't connect, so he finds himself down 1 and 2 now.
Yeah, and he's really getting over the top of that curveball.
Now here's a ground ball that'll get by the mound and into center field for a leadoff single.
Boy, you talk about a ball having eyes. First off, he's fortunate to get this one by the pitcher. It's not hit especially hard, but you'll see it get past second base where neither middle infielder can track it down. It'll make its way into center field.
Derek Gibson will stand in now. He'll likely have a look down to third to see if anything's up here with nobody out. Pitch, a curveball that's off the catcher's glove and gets away. And that'll move the runner up to second as it takes away the double play possibility.
Yeah, and then just 1 pitch later, he essentially turns that single into a double by letting him advance into scoring position on the wild pitch. Pretty sure that's not what he had in mind.
The next pitch. And this is fouled straight back. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Keeping it down here as it's to 1 and 2.
Well, if he's going to overcommit to pitches like that down in the zone, I'd keep throwing him until he proves he can lay off.
There's a foul ball off to the right side, and that'll move the count to 1 and 2. Again, a 1-2. Now a swing and a ground ball. Well, this is a foul ball as the count holds steady at 1 and 2. Here's another 1-2. Got him on a good slider there. Swung on and missed as he's down on strikes for the second time tonight.
And that slider's been an effective pitch for him, no doubt. As you take a look there, what his pitch breakdown looks like.
Chris Parmelee will stride in again, and you can bet he'd love to do again what he did back in the 4th. A solo home run here that's been the only long ball of the game so far. First pitch coming. They'll try and entice him with a high fastball, but he wouldn't commit. It's ball 1.
One thing we've seen from this guy on the mound so far, when he makes bad pitches, they typically miss out of the strike zone. They don't miss in the zone where they can be crushed.
And here's a fastball in for strike 1. 91 miles an hour that time. Here's the 1-1 pitch. And he pumps the fastball by him here. 1 and 2 now.
There's not a whole lot of conviction in that swing. It was almost like an afterthought, like an emergency hat.
Fouled back. Another 1-2 delivery. Oh, he belts one high and deep to right center. And, oh, he missed a home run by a matter of feet. It's off the wall. Around third and being waved on hold. And the run will score from second to make this a 2-0 ball game.
He's driven in both of their runs now with that home run earlier and now the RBI double here. If it weren't for him, these guys would be sunk. So he's keeping them in the ball game all by himself.
right-hander begins to throw out there. In now, Alvarez. Now a swing and a softly hit ground ball. This gets foul. It's 0-1. He's set. Now the pitch. Now a swing and a ball popped high in the air over toward foul ground. Number 47 is over, and he tucks it away for the second out.
Well, anytime you get an RBI guy to the plate with less than 2 outs, he does that, he is not happy. That's the kind of at-bat that'll stick with you for a while.
Christian Walker will stand in now. He flew out in his first time around and then was a strikeout victim last time. And this pitch is taken on the inner half for strike one. He's ready now. The pitch. Now here's the swing, and a ball hit well out there toward right center. Number 3 will get there, and he puts it away to retire the side. Well, a run will score in the inning on this RBI double. Bottom of the 6th coming up. Tides lead it 2-0. Number 3 will stand in to start things off, as this top of the batting order hasn't found a whole lot of success so far.
In fact, just 1 hit between the 1, 2, 3 hitters combined. So apparently the table setters have not been getting their chores done.
Right-hander starts to loosen out in the bullpen now. And he's really getting the better of him now. It's strike 2. Not too many strikeouts on the ledger for him so far, but it hasn't really mattered.
Yeah, I think ideally you'd like to see him miss a few more bats, but as long as you're keeping guys off balance and you're letting your defense help you, you don't need to strike a ton of guys out to be successful.
Not exactly the most convincing base hit you're ever going to see. Let's call this thing a swinging bunt. Call it whatever you want. He'll call it a leadoff single.
Now here's the first pitch. Hit well down the left field line, but back into the crowd, foul. He's ready. Now the pitch. Oh, a double play ball to second. 4, 6, 3, and they turn the double play. Eddie Martinez will come on now, and no sooner did it look like they may have something started than the double play took it all the way.
And that's especially tough when you figure the part of the lineup they're in. These are the guys you want to have hitting with runners on base.
And the pitch. And boy, was he ever fooled on that pitch. It's 0-2 now.
Yeah, not a real good effort there. That pitch was never going to be a strike.
Bouncing ball back up the middle. And the throw is not going to be in time as he's able to reach base safely.
And you know, guys, sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good. I mean, if the pitcher can't get this thing, you figure it's going to take a superhuman effort by anybody else behind the mound to make a play. This one's going to go down as an infield single.
Inside the octagon and beyond. Anderson Silva, you absolutely
stepping in now, Yuri Perez. Now a swing, and he gets him to pop it up. Drifting back behind first now. Number 3 is there, and the side is retired. So another good inning for him on the mound. 6 shutout innings now. We're through 6 full. The Tide's out in front, 2-0.
He'll be in action next weekend as the UFC returns to pay-per-view with UFC 192.
Back here for International League Baseball on the show. We're off to the 7th inning now, but first let's have a look at our game summary to see how we got here. Michael Almanzar will come forward now to begin the 7th inning in what's been a very briskly played ball game here tonight.
That's what happens when you get 2 starters that are on top of their game. It's been great pitching, great defense, not a lot of base runners, and very even game through 6 innings.
Number 68 will come in and pitch now.
And as well,
Number
we're
68.
chatting with Mike Bond all the way from Japan. He is there covering the UFC's card at the Saitama Super Arena that's coming up on Saturday night, Sunday morning in Japan. We'll chat with Mike about the scene.
And that's in there for strike 1.
This past weekend's Bellator card and what's coming up on Saturday with Josh Barnett and Roy Nelson in your main event. And we will also go through that card from the
Now the
Saitama
pitch.
Super Arena. But some interesting
I think I'd take that one too. It's 0-2 now.
Article that was written by Josh Gross for Deadspin, and I encourage you to go over to Deadspin.com. Check out the article. It's a great investigative piece surrounding the September 2012 fight involving Ben Lang.
The knuckleball ties him in nuts there, and that's the first out.
Well, this is a scroll he's taken 5 times in this series now. That slow walk back to the dugout after getting punched out. After a while, these things, they start to wear on you. Got to try to keep the mindset that every at-bat's a new opportunity, but most of the time, that's easier said than done.
At one point even announced on a conference call as the opponent before they had confirmed him.
Into the box, number 12. He'll take a look at his strike right down the middle. It's 0-1.
Fight 3 weeks later at UFC 152 in Toronto against Vitor Belfort, who will be coming up from 185 pounds. So already we have set the scene
Here it comes.
The UFC taking a massive hit with the
that's
cancellation
swung on and
UFC
fouled straight back.
151. And then it was revealed
now
in
here's
this
the pitch.
article that on September the 4th,
and the third baseman will have a look at it, but this is back into the seats. Another 0-2 home. Not fooled there as this ball's hammered out to deep right field. And that one is out of here. Planted into the right field bleachers.
In the UFC, there was a failed attempt to recall the email, and then UFC's legal department came in.
A solo shot here to straightaway right field, as it's now a 3-0 ball game.
If they were to share or disseminate this information about Vitor Belfort's drug test results. Well, it is now 3 years later, and that information has finally come out, and it revealed that Belfort had a testosterone level. His serum testosterone was
this is the chance you take when you work up in the zone like this. I mean, this is right in his happy zone, and he jumps all over it and sends it right over the wall.
250 to 1150. So we knew at this point Belfort has since
standing in now, number 3. He'll pop this one fouled off to the left, and it's strike 1.
Testosterone replacement therapy, but this was before he had been issued a therapeutic use exemption from any.
And here's a ball hit in the air, and that's going to land foul.
In Josh Gross's article, that they did not oversee
now the pitch.
Any drug testing.
And fastball blew it right by him, and they're 2 down.
That's the way you want to see guys respond after giving up a home run. You know, some guys, they go into a shell, they hang their heads. Some guys get a little gun shy and start to nibble at the corners. This guy, he gets teed off. He comes right after the next guy in the lineup. If I'm a pitching coach, that's what I want to see.
And he will indeed make the play in foul territory to retire the side. So 1 run here on 1 hit, which was the home run. No errors, and no one left on base. Number 47 will dig in for the 3rd time now. He started the evening 0 for 2 so far. Some action out in the bullpen. Couple of right-handers starting to loosen up. This ball's hit in the air down the right side and out of play. 0-1.
In 2011 and 2012, and not being able to get any
inside with a sinker, and that'll keep him honest at the plate.
I think it's pretty simple. The message here is stop leaning out over the plate. The pitcher's got to be able to work inside, so just a reminder.
Here, through no fault of the writer of the article, is the fact that the UFC has no response to this. The UFC was contacted according to
here comes a 1-2.
They did not give a reply.
Now a ball lying towards center field, and that's a base hit.
That doesn't look all that great on the UFC's end of this whole story. And I think the UFC...
Back into the stretch for him again as we take a look at his line so far. It's almost like he's kept that shutout going with smoke and mirrors because he's definitely given up his share of base runners. They just haven't amounted to anything so far.
There's the first pitch to him. And this is on the ground toward the hole. And there's a base hit as that gets through into left.
They could have mitigated a lot of this, and I think not speaking to Josh Gross.
Number 19 will dig in now, and he'll do so representing the time run.
Yeah, and you're not too worried about this guy jumping the yard on you here and tying the ball game. But if he does find a way to get on base, things get a whole lot more interesting.
Now, I covered that fight in Toronto, and certainly it was no secret that was the discussion point the week of the fight.
fouled straight back. First and second here with nobody out.
There was no clear answer at the time, but there certainly is now as we look back at the fact that Vitor Belfort was
now the
being able
pitch.
to use
Out in front of it as this is pulled down the line to first. And a reach, but it's by him as he couldn't quite get to that ball. And they're content to play station to station here as the bases are loaded now with still nobody out. Skipper's out of the third base dugout on his way toward the mound. And it looks as though that's going to be all for his starter here tonight. So as he leaves, he stands to perhaps be the winning pitcher here, unless, of course, all three runners come around to score, in which case he'd get a no decision. Number 26 will be the new pitcher. Number 25 will stand in now in what could be a real make-or-break situation.
You think at this point you have to get something out of this inning. The further you get into that bullpen, the tougher it's going to be to claw back on the second.
Now, meanwhile, this is going to be extra bases, and it's going to do some damage. 1 run score, 2 runs score.
You think he was looking for a fastball there? I think he was. That's about as hard a hit ball as you're going to see. He was right on that.
However, an opponent for Theodore, that becomes a really interesting question because you need somebody that is going to carry a lot of weight for the Japanese market, which is the #1 market for this particular card, despite TV broadcast agreement.
Into the box now, Luis Mateo. He swings and hits this one foul off to the right and out of play. And we see a lefty and a right-hander start to loosen up in the bullpen. Runners lead from first and third. Here's the pitch. On the ground is short. Knee high, he barehands it. The second for 1. Throw to first is not in time. And we've got ourselves a tie ball game.
Yeah, really no shot at 2 on a high chopper like that one. They do wind up getting the force at second, but that runner from third is able to just waltz in and score.
I think that this is really going to be a referendum on where mixed martial arts is in 2015. People romanticize pride quite a lot.
Now here's the first pitch. And that pitch is lined into left field, and he's got his second hit of the evening. And with that, the go-ahead runs up to second now with only 1 away. Cedric Hunter steps in now in a big spot here in a game as close as this one.
And a chance of redemption, too, because he hasn't done much through his first 3 plate appearances. He can make up for all of that with a base hit right here.
I had him guessing that time as he's barely able to foul it away. Comes set, now the pitch. Just lucky to make contact on that one as it's got fouled. 3 runs already home here. From the stretch. Now a ball hit hard toward first. And he drops it. And now, fortunately, they will get it out here. Relay to first in time. And just like that, the side is retired. Ray Navarro will stand in, and it's a bullpen game now. Both starters out as we begin inning number 8.
Yeah, both starters are out, and since we're tied, both starters not going to be involved in the decision.
Here's the knuckleball, 1-1. 1-1 on the way. And this is going to be a foul ball.
You sound clear as day. It's a remarkable world we live in 2015.
Here's the 1-2. And this is going to be a foul ball.
That's right. That's right. We are talking at bizarre.
Now another 1-2. Swing and a ball headed towards the hole. And he'll take this to the bag of 3 unassisted for the first out. Derek Gibson will try again. Struck out swinging his last time through. Here's a ball swung on and lofted in the air out toward right center. And this is taken in easily, and just like that, 2 are gone to start the 8th inning.
This is exactly what he needed after his guys came back to tie the ball game. He's only 1 out away from a shutdown inning.
Hates North American white fans because of everything that is catered to this part.
Chris Parmalee will dig in. He's homered back in the 4th. Now the first pitch. And he takes a cold strike, 0-1. Now here's the pitch.
Just to accommodate
Here's a late swing and a miss, strike 2.
And you kind of get the sense that he's not really messing around out there too much. There hasn't.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's the 3rd strike and the 3rd out. Side is retired. Andy Oliver is on out of the bullpen now as he'll take over to start the bottom of the 8th. Eddie Martinez will get another shot now, 2 for 3 in the game. Now the first pitch of the inning is a fly ball out to straightaway left. Parmalee is there, and that's not the way you want to start the bottom of the 8th. 1 pitch, 1 gone. Now action in the bullpen as their closer starts to get loose out there. Todd Cunningham move into the on-deck circle now to try to get something started here with 1 gone in the inning. Into center field, and a chance now with the go-ahead run at first and 1 away. Number 47 will step in. Singled and came around to score his last time. Here's the first offering. And he popped him up over toward the left side of the infield. Almanzar camps under it, and he's got it for route number 2. Reed Harper will stand in. He homered back in the 2nd inning of this one. And here's the first pitch. And this is swung on and bounced on the ground to 3rd. And 8 innings have come and gone now as the inning is over. So no runs on a hit here, no errors, 1 man left on. Todd Cunningham will stick around as he'll take over in right field. Now a ball hit sharply down the line at 3rd. And a reach to his backhand, but he can't come up with it, and the leadoff man's aboard. Christian Walker will stand in with the go-ahead run at first, so he'll need to at least get him into scoring position with nobody out. Throw's going to go on to first, so a perfect sacrifice there is now the go-ahead run moves into scoring position here. Michael Almanzar will dig in, needing to find a way to get that go-ahead run in from second base. And now a left-hander will start to get ready in the bullpen. Late on the fastball, though, as this one skied out to his right. Cunningham is there, 2 down. Number 12 will be the batter, 2 for 3 with a home run thus far. And he gets ahead 0-1. As a look now to Davis. I think I'd take that one too. It's 0-2 now.
No taking now. He's going to have to swing back.
Now the 0-2 pitch. And he strikes him out on a good pitch. So 1 run can win it as we head to the bottom of the inning. Number 19 will be the batter. 2 for 3 with a double thus far. First pitch coming. Over towards the dugout, but this one will get into the stand. Pitch on the way. Swung on and hit deep to left center. This one has a chance. But he's going to haul this one in on the run as he winds up just shy of the wall for the first out. Number 25 will get another crack. 1 for 3 thus far. First pitch on the way. Drops in a strike to start the at-bat. 0-1. Now the pitch. Hit hard on the ground to short. On to first, and there were 2 down.
2 quick outs here to start the inning. It's looking more and more likely that we're going to need extra innings here to decide this one.
First pitch to him. Sliced hard but foul. Look out over there. And now pitch on the way. Well, he can't hold on there as he swings and misses on a pitch in the dirt, and he's down 0-2 now.
Wow, what a good time to take something off of that pitch. And they had him fooled pretty good on that one.
Now here's the pitch. And he struck him out. So So they can't get that winning run home, and that means we'll have to go a little longer tonight to find a winner. 10th inning coming up, and we are all tied at 3 apiece.
I'm, fairly confident this guy's going to bite again.
Number 3 will try again. 0 for 3 with a strikeout thus far.
Last championship fight, he really wanted to go for it. See if he can